Assaf Sayada, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
So you are the CEO of no, it's great to have you. And you are the CEO of a company called HydroX. And from what we discussed pre-show, you guys are making it cost effective to be able to store and transport hydrogen. Tell us why that's so important for the energy transition.
Hydrogen is expected to contribute 8 to 25% of the decarbonization of our planet. So no matter what is, where is will be the actual figure is very important. But in order to be able to reach this 8 to 25%, the industry needs to solve some major challenges with the hydrogen value chain. The vast majority of the industry has been focusing over the past few years on production. So governments have been investing in building capacity or import capacity. The investment bankers and investment funds have been investing in hydrogen electrolyzer companies and startups, and the scientific community as well. We're not there yet, but we are on track. And now the expectation is that 38 million tons of hydrogen of clean hydrogen have already been planned for 2030. In order to reach these objectives of decarbonization, we need something around 70 million. So we're pretty good already. Now the next big challenge becomes really storage and transportation. It is a huge challenge because number one, because the vast majority of these 70 million tons of hydrogen will not be consumed in the same or used in the same location and at the same time where it's produced. Very often it will be months after and thousands of kilometers far away. So storage and transportation is much more important for the green hydrogen economy than what it used to be with the gray hydrogen industry. And that's number one. But number two, and this is even more important, is that the conventional technologies will not make it. No way to reach the objectives, the cost objectives of the industry with the conventional technologies in terms of both the OPEX, the CAPEX, of very far away from the objectives.
You got it. Yeah, it's absolutely critical that we have cost-effective hydrogen. I couldn't agree with you more. The audience may not know about conventional technology. So when I think of conventional, I think of you could do hydrogen liquefaction, has to be really cold from what I know, and in many cases has to be really big. I know that, although we have seen some modular tech. And also they're doing it gaseous form, in which case it has to be aggressively compressed. When you think of conventional, is that it? Or are there other conventional technology? I've even seen storing as an ammonia is ammonia and transporting as ammonia or
You
ethanol.
mentioned most of, yeah, you actually mentioned the most, I would say, important technologies in the marketplace. The first conventional technology is the old compression. Okay. This is the way we've been storing hydrogen for the past decades, compressing hydrogen. So compression is the first one. The second one is liquefaction. You're right. The third one is definitely ammonia. And I would say the next one is what the industry calls liquid organic hydrogen carriers. These are more innovative technologies which have been emerging in the past decade from startups in Europe and in Asia mainly, primarily now in the US as well, and using different kind of technology, which look, by the way, pretty similar to our technology in that first sight, but are actually very different. All these technologies, including the more modern ones coming from startups, which are also trying to kind of reinvent the space, share the same disadvantages. Number one, they all require very extreme conditions. So either very high temperature or very low temperature, as you said before. So for example, liquefaction is minus 253 degrees Celsius, sorry.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's nothing. Or very high temperature or very high compression. These extreme conditions require a lot of energy to be reached, and in some cases you need to maintain them over time, which is even more expensive energy-wise. And therefore, all these technologies are extremely energy inefficient, which is kind of challenging when you deal with energy. And as a result, they're extremely expensive OpEx-wise, especially when you go for long-term storage, which is one of the main use cases the industry is trying to develop right now for the next few years. So that's one big challenge, the energy efficiency and the OpEx cost. The other one is that all these technologies are either toxic, flammable, explosive, at least two of these three. Which the result is that the whole value chain is, as you know, for hydrogen, extremely dangerous, complex, cumbersome, and extremely expensive in terms of capex, because you need to invest a lot in the infrastructure to make it relatively safe. So you have high OpEx, high capex, and a very complex supply chain. Not really the best way to scale up an industry. This is a real challenge. The holy grail in of the hydrogen economy is going below $2 to $3 per kilogram of hydrogen, including production and storage transportation. Today, production of green hydrogen is still far away from the $1 per kilogram, but we're on track. We'll probably get there by the end of this decade. Today, we're somewhere around $3 to $7 and closer to the 7. On storage and transportation, so if you have very small scale and very short term, you can do it with compressed hydrogen at a pretty low cost. But for longer term and mass storage, you get to double-digit figures in some of the cases, or typically to $7 per kilogram. So it's very far away from the objectives of the industry, and this is a real knock which we need to open in order to make this hydrogen economy a reality. So, and this is exactly our mission at HydroX. This is exactly what we're doing with a technology which is extremely energy efficient, therefore reduces the OpEx very significantly. It's completely safe, and therefore it reduces the capex very dramatically. And the bottom line is that we are reducing the cost of hydrogen storage to below $1 per kilo, which
I
is
love it.
expected to unlock
You,
the whole
you,
industry.
you as an investment banker, I love it when you get to the bottom line, and that number, $1 per kilogram, I think makes a big difference. I think it moves the needle for folks. Have you guys seen that in customer conversations or partner conversations? Where are you guys in your company life cycle today?
So we've been focused in a few years on actually solving the science and developing the fundamental technology. We were done. So we have solved the science.
That's great
Uh,
to hear, right? I know that's a huge
and
challenge.
yeah, it's a huge challenge, especially with this. This is deep tech. This is disruptive technology. This is really deep tech. It's not about, coding. It's about chemistry, and it's about materials and process engineering. Very complex one. Our baseline technology, the reaction, which is called the potassium bicarbonate, potassium fomate cycle, has been known in the industry for decades. Many have tried to solve it and have failed, actually, including the Professor Yoel Sasson, who's been the inventor of HydroX technologies, tried in the mid-80s and failed. Failed to make it in an efficient way, in an economical way. We've solved that initially at the academy, and then developing the technology to a certain level as a startup. 9 months ago, we have started the next stage, which is really the scale-up stage. So we are now in an accelerated process to take this technology to make it prototypes and products now. Actually, we have started the prototypization process in the last a few weeks. We have completed a 40x scale up. And actually are today at the kind of tipping point where we're now raising a Series A to accelerate and actually implement a roadmap which will make the HydroX technology and products a global leader in the market.
Very good. And congratulations on launching the Series A. I hear that you guys are based in Israel. We talked about it before the show, which is exciting. I know one of the top technology hubs in the world. We see many great startups coming from Israel, much like Silicon Valley or Boston. It's certainly a technology hub. How has the Series A raise been going? And can you share anything with the viewers about valuation, round size, and anything that might be helpful to any investors out there that are watching?
The Series A is progressing pretty well. We have actually the last few months have been pivotal for HydroX. So I said that number one, we've kind of sold the science. Number two, we've improved the main KPIs of the technology by 8x to 25x. So very significant progress, which has enabled us really to start the scale up and the productization stage. Number three, we have started engaging with multinational industrial leaders in the main markets of and main hydrogen verticals: oil and gas, iron and steel, energy, gas companies, renewable companies, industrial players as well, and signing actually in May our first commercial agreement ever in the company. Since then, we have signed 4 or 5 other agreements or LOIs, MOUs. So things are now really accelerating. First one was with a very large industrial group in the automotive space, industrial space, to decarbonize their factories. We've signed other papers with one of the oil and gas majors and one of the largest conglomerates in Japan and more. The most recent one is with we've signed an LOI actually end of December with one of the largest and most ambitious hydrogen valleys in Europe, which is aiming eventually to import up to 2 million tons of hydrogen, of green hydrogen, to its region. So things are really accelerating.
No, very good. And of course, we know in this market, raising any venture round has been challenging. Our fingers are crossed that we continue to see improvement. We've started to see some green shoots. Here we sit in the first quarter of 2024, seeing green shoots, but 2023 was a challenging venture environment for sure. Um, and our experience corresponds with what you've seen, which is strategic investors stepping up to the plate and really caring about energy transition and thinking about the long term. So we've been excited to see that, and hats off to the strategics of the world who have embraced energy transition. So that's really good. How big is your team today? How much have you expanded as a team? And
So we are, as I said, yeah, we were at the tipping point. So we're still a 12 people team. Most of the vast majority of the team are a technology people, experts, a very talented team. I think that we have one of the highest PhD rates on the planet. So we have, I think, 25% PhDs in the team. Actually, today, except myself, all the team is technology. Today, as typically in at this stage, I'm still the only non-technology member of the team, even if I'm very involved in the other technology itself.
very good. One thing I'd like to do is visualize the technology. How big is it? What does it look like installed? Where can it go? Does it come in different sizes? What are some of the applications? That would be helpful, I think, to get a picture of it.
Yes. So the baseline technology is a catalytic reaction. Okay. So now I'm going to share the chemical formula, even if it's pretty simple, which is part of the beauty of this technology. It's a very straightforward, simple reaction. Even people like me can understand the chemical reaction.
Hey, we're on
What
the
is it?
same side there. I like simple.
It's a catalytic and circular reaction. By catalytic, I mean that we have a proprietary and very powerful and specific and patented catalyst, and by which enables the reaction. And by circular, I mean the same reaction is completely reversible, so we can store and release the hydrogen in exactly with the same reaction, just the opposite way, which is part of the simplicity also of the process. But what is really important about it is that this reaction enables us to store hydrogen into this liquid. This liquid is completely safe. It can be stored in your kitchen, okay, or in the as I told you before, and in your pocket, and is non-toxic, non-flammable, and non-explosive. So you see, I can smell it. I can put some of the liquid. You see a live leakage. Uh, Try to do that with ammonia, for example. Okay, you know what would happen. For those who don't know, everybody in the room or in this building would be dead. Okay, within less than a minute.
I'll use the
Uh,
scientific phrase for what would happen. It would be bad.
it's really bad.
Yeah.
I was at the House of Lords with this bottle. I went through the security check at the Tel Aviv airport, which is maybe even more challenging with this bottle in my pocket. Okay, so it's completely safe, non-toxic, non-flammable, non-explosive. If you remember, all competitive technologies have at least two of these three, which means that we completely transform the way you can handle hydrogen. You can store it in plastic bottles. You can transport it in water pipelines. Very simple. You can use the oil infrastructure, and you can handle it without any regulation, any constraints, and any risk. And you, as a result, reduce very dramatically the capex cost and the investment in infrastructure which is required, and the opex cost which is related to the maintenance, the safety maintenance. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is the energy efficiency. So the conditions which we require to charge and discharge the hydrogen for the two sides of the reaction are close to ambient conditions. So in centigrade, it's 35 to 50 degrees in terms of temperature, 1 to 10 bar in terms of compression. When you open the water in your kitchen, you get 5 bars. So it's really close to ambient conditions, very easy to achieve. Conditions don't need even to maintain them. The result is that all what we need is a tiny amount of energy for the whole process. We need only a little more than 2 kilowatt hour of energy to store and release 1 kilogram of hydrogen. It means 94% energy efficiency, which is changing the whole story. Just if you compare it to the liquid organic hydrogen carriers, for example, the modern startup kind of technologies which I mentioned before, they require typically 13 or 14 kilowatt hour, or even 40 as compared to the 2.5 that which we require. This 7x or even more is translated almost linearly into an OPEX cost. So it's very significant. And this enables us to reduce dramatically the OPEX. As I said before, it's below the $1 per kilogram. This is changing the whole story. And this is applied to both stationary storage, especially for long term, where usually other technologies the cost climbs over time and becomes double digit and even sometimes even triple digits per kilogram when you go up to months. And you want to do, the industry wants to do seasonal storage, for example. And on the other side is for transportation by truck. You can use plastic tanks, simple one cubes. You can use water pipelines instead of using the gas pipelines, which are typically used to transport hydrogen. This is 4 to 5 times cheaper on the capex. It's simple, much simpler, and even more interesting, shipping. Shipping usually the technology which is leading there is definitely ammonia, and this beyond the safety advantage, obviously, which is huge over as compared to ammonia. We cut cost by 4 times, almost 4 times on the OPEX, and more than 4 times on the CAPEX. as compared to ammonia to ship, for example, green hydrogen or whatever hydrogen from Australia to Japan or from the Emirates to or whatever to China to the US. This is a very important market, which is today very expensive with the leading solution. The other technologies are even more expensive than ammonia. And this is our contribution in reducing those costs can be is potentially a real unlocker of the whole industry. And I promise you to show you some products. How does it look like? So that we may maybe share some screens.
Yes, that would be amazing if you can see a screen share on the bottom there, I think.
There we go. So this is a unit
All
which is
right.
have deployed. I mentioned the 40x scale up. So this is with this unit, which this is the reactors. And here you can see the two tanks with our charged liquid, our discharged liquid, which I mentioned. So this is the charged liquid. This is the material which we store and transport. And as I mentioned, we are at a at a stage where we now accelerate and actually run our roadmap, where we are expecting to bring within a year now our first products to the market. And by 26, we'll be already at pretty large scale, industrial scale of 100 kilogram of hydrogen per hour, which is this kind of 20-feet containers. This is the charging units. This is the discharging units. In 27, we're expected to reach the 1 ton per hour scale, which is these kind of 40-feet containers, which come together with those tanks, which storing the our charge and discharge liquid. So this is typically the kind of the way those products look like. Very simple process, which makes it very robust and enabled us to deliver very helpful solution to the industry.
That stuff incredible. So this we see a lot. This is not something we've seen before. Very exciting. And we look forward to continuing to follow HydroX and see as you enable hydrogen to be used more broadly across energy transition. It is a super important topic. And we wish you the best for continued success. This has been Assaf Sayada with HydroX. Thank you for being on.
Thank you, Peter. It's been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to keep updating you about the next steps of HydroX journey.
Absolutely.
Thank you
We
so
look
much.
forward to it.